Over the years, I've accumulated a lot of stuff. Companies will reach out to me almost daily with, will you put this in your YouTube video? And the vast majority, I just say no to. Occasionally, there's something out there that piques my interest, and I've got one product on the table here that piqued my interest for a certain reason. I've got a lot of products that talk about just convenience. So in today's video, we're just gonna go through some accessories that I have found myself coming back to and using again and again, or that have made my job a little bit easier as a photographer. I've also got a whole closet over there full of stuff that I no longer use and will probably donate at some point. But these are things that I really found myself coming back to, or that I found very, very interesting. Now in this video, some of this was given to me, some of it I purchased it out of product. I'll try to give you an idea of where I got all of this stuff. And we're gonna start with this big one so I can get it out of the way. Now I've got my camera here and I've got my tripod here. I have a gear list down below. So if you're curious about what I use and why I use it, I highly recommend these two pieces. This is a gimbal head by Pro Media Gear and my Monopod by Leo Photo. Now this Monopod actually just has one small accessory we're gonna talk about today, and it's right here. This is a clamp that I put on. And I asked Leo Photo for this. I asked him for two pieces for this video because I was very curious about it. I have asked for things in the past that I will not include in this video because I don't use it, but this one I actually do use, and I found it very interesting. This is called a QD port. Now I've done videos on this in the past, and I'm gonna show you what the connector looks like. It's this tiny little, I'll try to hold it over here next to it. It's hard to see. Very small. It's got a little push pin. And these are used in various applications. Actually, rifle carriers use these, but a lot of photographers have turned to this over the last 5 or 10 years, and it just simply clicks in. So watch this. I'm gonna take this strap, click it in, and it's hooked, and it is in there. I'm gonna take the other end, and I've tried a couple different ways. I actually have another connector up here. I didn't find that the best way to carry this monopod, but I have a lens foot down here that also has a port. So I connect the second port into here, and I am going to carry this now using those QD connectors. Now I only needed one, maybe you need two. You can use this with a tripod. I've done it with a tripod as well, but I typically shoot with a monopod. Listen, I would love to tell you at my age, I can put this on my shoulder and hike out in the woods for 5 miles every day and it doesn't hurt. My collarbones get sore. So after 2 or 3 days of repetitive use on my collarbones, hiking, this gets really sore. I have tested this for a few weeks now out in the woods, and I really, really found this to be helpful. Now I'll put a video up here that shows you in just a minute how it looks, but a couple things about this. The QD connector is important. You wanna make sure the shape of this is an arc or a half moon, a half circle. You don't want, they make some that are rounded or oval. You don't want those. Different companies make these. I'll put a link to the one that I purchased down there just so you know that I've had luck with it, but several companies make these. The strap I want to talk about real quick because I've done videos on this strap, and this is now my go-to strap. For this application, it was very helpful, and here's why. When I would use my strap to carry just my camera, I want it at a certain length. When I use it in this configuration, okay, so connected to my camera and monopod, I need to change the height, and this has a great quick adjust feature. So this is by Peak Design, and it moves very, very quickly. Let me pop that open. And it moves very quickly to just slide open. And this is actually called the slide. This is the Peak Design slide. Highly recommend this. I will tell you, people that use this Peak Design slide typically do not change from it. I've used others, and I have others, and I use others, but this is kind of my go-to for this application, and part of it is the ease of which you can change this. My binoculars that I paid for, and that my strap that I use on those binoculars is also a Peak Design. They make a slide light. That's my slide light. And again, I really, really think Peak Design has done a great job. They have quick connectors of their own that attach here. So if you don't want the QD port on your camera, or you've got, let's say, a lens attachment, mine has a lens connector here that I can use. There are several different points, but one point is gonna be on your monopod. You're gonna use that QD port for this. Your second connection will be somewhere on the lens foot, the body, or the lens, and that is gonna make it real comfortable. Let me show you what that looks like over here. So when I'm hiking in the collapsed position, I'm gonna have that kind of short, and I can hike as long as I want, and there's really no stress on my shoulders or collarbone. Here's the other thing, I can get into position real quickly. So when I anticipate action, I'll lengthen my monopod to the size I shoot. I can still hike, even though it's much longer. And I might not get through bushes too well with this setup, but I can get it into position really, really quick. And then this last part is one of my favorite parts about this. I hadn't really thought about it until I did it, and I thought, I just took my hands away from this, and it was perfect. I didn't need my hands. And if you've ever shot with monopods, you know there are gonna be times when you wanna get out your phone, you wanna change your battery, you wanna put a new memory card in, maybe you just want a break, you're gonna end up putting that thing on the ground, or maybe you gotta run in the woods and use the bathroom, whatever the reason is. There's a lot of reasons you've gotta let your hands go, and with this one, the slide kept it in place. So that strap, whatever strap you decide to use, but that strap was really, really helpful for this application. I could be hands-free. It was almost like I was on a tripod. and I had the ability to use my hands. So that's the first accessory. It's not super expensive. I'll put a link down here to the QD connector that attaches to your monopod. You do need to know the length, the diameter of your monopod or tripod, and then you're going to order the specific size for that diameter. Really, really like this one. While I'm talking about Leo Photo, I've got one more I want to show you from them. I'm going to clear this off first though, because it's taking up a lot of room here. This was one of my favorites. Now this next accessory is from Leo Photo. It's these two little guys right here. I'm going to tell you what these are and why I like them so much. Over the years, I have found myself constantly using my iPhone when I'm out doing nature. And I'm sure people see this. You want to take a little nature clip. You don't have your camera. I'm shooting, in my case, I'm shooting birds. I don't want to switch my camera over to video, mount it, change the lens, shoot a scene. Bird flies in, I'm not set up. So I really do, if I'm doing nature clips often, I just want to put my iPhone up. Maybe I take a slow motion video, maybe I do a time lapse, but I've got to have a way to secure that. So this is where these came in. And I asked for these. I said, could you send me these? Because I'm really, really interested. This is the one I want. This is the one I'm going to talk about. This little device over here. I'll put it on this side. Maybe we can see a little bit better. Very small. I can easily fit this in my pocket, the side of my hiking pants. I can put it in my backpack, and it's going to open up. And it's going to create at the base here, and I'll put it over here again, it's going to open. And I've used devices similar to this in the past, but I want to show you what's neat about this one. And I've got to get it away from my body. Let's put it over here so you can see it. Okay, this is my iPhone, and I'm going to connect it like that, and it's done. Now watch the different positions I can put this in. I can tilt it, and it stays. It's on there. Like I thought this would easily fall off. It is on there. Now I use a case with that little ring on the back, that little magnetic ring. They do send you one. So even if you're not an iPhone user, you can put that little magnet on the back of your case or inside your case, and it's going to hold just like this. So now I'm out in the woods. I want to shoot a scene. I've done this so many times. I can put this on a rock, and there it is. I've got it. I'll get out of the way a little bit so you can see it. I know it's a little bit tough to see in these videos. I'll try to do some close-ups, but there it is. I could just set it down, and I can tilt it in any direction. It's even got a little swivel, and I can turn it in any direction. It really stays secure. So this one I really, really like. Here's the best thing. This little foot at the bottom. Let me take my phone off so you can see it. But this little foot at the bottom, you see that, how it's opened right now? That is going to collapse. It's Arca Swiss compatible. So now, let me just show you a couple examples. I've got, gosh, anything will work. I've got a ball head here. I can hook this to a ball head, and I can put this in any configuration on this ball head, and I can just go ahead and connect my camera to it. There's so many options with this. It's just really, really, really neat. I could stand my ball head up if I wanted to. I could connect it that way. So it's really neat. And I want to show you this. Even if you don't have a ball head, let's say you're using a gimbal. I'm going to take this, I'm going to connect it to my gimbal, and this is a side-mounted gimbal. This is not really user-friendly for this application. There it is. I'm going to pop it on there, and I'm done. My camera, that's upside down, but my camera's on there. Like, that's it. So I can use this. I've got my tripod. I just filmed a video. I use this filming myself out in the yard. It was so convenient. Here's another one. This one is the just an Arca plate with a ring. This works really well. Again, I can put it on this ball head in any configuration I want. Here's where I use it. I've got all these phone holders, right? Here's one. I don't need it anymore. Here's another one. I put on a monopod. I don't need it anymore. I've got this that I've used, but now I've adapted it. So this is my little phone stand. I keep it by my desk. If I'm doing a call with somebody and I want to FaceTime them or just make a video, there it is. It's on this little mini tripod. I can put it in any configuration. I can tilt it up and down. It is so easy. So anyway, not an expensive piece. I'll put a link down there. This was probably my favorite accessory that I've gotten recently. It's so small and compact. That's it. It's so easy. So take a look at this. Again, accessory video, things that make it easier. This is not going to make you a better photographer, but it's going to be convenient. And thank you, Leo Photo. I really, really like this one. All right, let me clear these out. I've got a couple more accessories I want to talk about. Now, this next piece is actually a battery charger. This is from a company called Llano. And I was really interested in a battery charger. I'll give you the backstory in just a minute. I reached out and said, can you send me one of these? They look pretty interesting. If I like it, I'm happy to include it in a video. So I worked something out with Llano where they got me the product, and I really like it. I think it's going to be very, very beneficial. Now, let me just walk through the build real quick, and then I'll tell you why. 2 batteries at a time. That's convenient. And it's got a USB charger on the side and a display on the front. I'll go through that real quickly, but I want to talk about the flexibility of this USB charger. See, when I order or I have a charger from Nikon, in this case, they're going to give me a wall outlet that will only give me one option to charge. The USB-C input that it's going to charge allows me to charge from a USB port. I can do that through the wall. I can do it through my laptop. I can do it through a computer. So I have options there. I really, really like that. And it's removable. So when I go on my hike, this becomes a carrying case. I unplug that, and I found the build to be a really good compromise. It's light, but it doesn't feel cheap. So when I shut the lid, it doesn't feel like it's just going to fall apart. I think it's a really nice combination of it. It has a nice tactile feel too. It's just nice. I just like it. So that's the battery charger. Here's the problem, and here's why you need one. Number one, it's going to charge more than one battery. Number two, I'm a wildlife photographer. I'm out in the woods. I'm running around a lot. I like the portability of this. I got a Nikon camera recently, and I went to charge the battery. It didn't have a charger in it. So some cameras are not coming with chargers, and that's because the camera is charging the battery through a USB-C, just like this would. But I need more flexibility. If I go through 2 or 3 batteries in a day, and I sleep overnight and I need to charge those batteries, I've got to have options out there. So yeah, I can charge that one in camera, but I need to charge multiple batteries. This gives me one additional unit that will charge those 2 extra batteries if I need it, and it's going to give me a display on where they're at. If I hit the little button right on the front, and I know video doesn't do great on this, it's going to tell me the charge. It's actually using the voltage from the battery to power that temporarily, and then it'll shut off. So this one's fully charged. Charging times on this are going to be different. I actually read some reviews where people were like, it took a long time to charge, and I'm thinking, I'm guessing you were charging it from a lower output. So if you have a laptop that doesn't have a higher, and I'm not an electrical engineer, so I don't know watts or voltage, whatever it is, but there are more powerful. And you know this because you've probably powered your mobile devices. So if you use a stronger powering station, I found about 2 hours. So an hour, maybe a little bit more, will get you the first 75%. The second 25% takes longer. So it takes almost as long to do that last section. And that's actually power management. That's the way batteries should be charged, by the way. So I have no problems with the charging time on this. I will tell you the only drawback, and I do pros and cons for everything. So listen, I'll tell you, on this little indicator that says 100, depending on how I powered it, I would get slightly different readings. So if I took this battery out, for example, and plugged it into my USB-C, the percentage went from 100 down to like 92. What I will tell you is that if that number isn't 100% accurate, if it's not perfect, and I don't think it is, I think it's off, and I'll give it 10%. Let's say it's off 10% either way. That is still a very accurate measurement of batteries. And here's what I wanted you to think about. Most battery chargers have 3 or 4 little LED lights. So it's red, yellow, green, and maybe like full power. Maybe you get 5 or 6 of those lights. So how accurate is that? I mean, it's only accurate to 20 or 25%. I think this is more accurate. So when it says 90, I know it's on its last leg. When it says 50, I know it's about halfway. So even if that indicator isn't perfect, it is so much better than just a few LED lights. And on some chargers, it doesn't even give you a few lights. It gives you fully charged or not fully charged, and you have no idea. So yeah, I really, really like this. I don't think that power output being a little off or giving a few variable results is a big deal to me. This is an accessory I would endorse, and this is an accessory that I will use, I am sure, in the future, primarily because of its ability to charge 2 batteries at a time and its very nice versatility around the way it charges. Now, I've got some bonus accessories for you today. These are accessories that I am using for macro. I'll tell you a little bit about these accessories and why I like them, but I've been doing more and more macro photography this year as my gardens, my native plant gardens have exploded, and I've created these little ecosystems in my yard. I have so many cool insects. I'll show you a few of them out here, but I want to feature one today called an ambush bug. I'll show you several pictures of that. Now, these bugs are incredibly still. So while I do a lot of photography out in the field, every now and then I'll find an insect that I can bring in here. And whether it's a flower or it's an actual insect, I bring it into the office and I use some equipment to help me. So the first thing I'm going to do, there's several ways to do this. You like a clamp. Now, this is actually a jeweler's clamp that I've set up so that I can rotate it up into different positions. I've got a short arm, I've got a long arm, I could do all sorts of things, lock it in. Very inexpensive. Found this on Amazon, not sponsored in any way. I just wanted to put it in this video. If you're doing macro photography, there are several types of clamps out there. I'm not saying that this is the only one, but I found this one pretty helpful. So this is my little jeweler's clamp. I'll put the Amazon link down there at the bottom. Over here, it's actually 3 pieces. Now this is a base, not very expensive. Found this on Amazon. I'll link it down there. I've got a geared head. and then I've got a sliding rail. Now, the one I want to feature for this video is really just this rail because I found these to be very, very important. This geared head, and I'll show you how it works real quick. It works by twisting. So I turn knobs and I get fine adjustment. So watch it go. I'll turn it this way. You'll see it go up and down, fine adjustment. So I can rotate it on several axes. I can twist it. I can move it back and forth, side to side, or I can move it up and down. What I generally use it for is moving it up and down. You don't need that head. I'll put a link to a couple of these heads that I've used and I liked. What I really liked was just this sliding rail, and this gives me fine adjustment to go forward and backwards. You don't have to be a professional macro photographer, but if you find yourself in a situation where you are able to get subjects inside, let me show you some of the things I did with these ambush bugs. I've got several examples. I had a field day with these bugs. I'll flash some pictures over here. But what was important is the focusing on my high power lens. I've got a lens back there that is a 5x magnification. It's 500% closer. Look at what it can do. Now, because the depth of field is so tiny, I may need to stack the images, or I might need that focus point just to be exactly on the eyes. And that could be just, gosh, it's less than a millimeter of depth of field. So this rail allows me to slowly turn. And as I do, I'm going to move the camera forward and back on this. You don't need this geared head. You don't need this base. I'll put my setup down here so you can see what I use. But if you put this on a ball head or some kind of just static object, it should be fine. And then you just move this rail back and forth. So a couple of bonus accessories. I'm only including this because I did so much macro this year. I thought you might find that interesting. Now, I've got to believe there's something in this video that caught your eye. Maybe that carrying system caught your eye, that QD connector that you can quickly plug in and plug out and put it on your shoulder and it feels really comfortable. You can use it for a tripod, or you could use it for a monopod like I did, and hands-free. What a great feature that was. Check out that Peak Design strap. I think you'll really, really like that if you haven't used them before. And check out those QD connectors from Leo Photo. Just make sure you order the right diameter. Those iPhone holders, oh my gosh, I love them. I've got 2 of them now. I'm using one in the office. I'm going to take one in my backpack and use it out in the field. When I want to just take an iPhone picture or a quick movie and I need something to put it on, maybe I'm taking a selfie or creating some digital content and I want to put it on my tripod. Really, really flexible. Very, very nice. The battery charger, loved it. I mean, the ability to just put it in your backpack and then charge 2 batteries at the same time. I mean, that alone, really, really nice feature from Llano. And then these little macro accessories. Maybe you want to play around a little bit. I recommend the rail first, to start with the rail and these little clips. Any kind of clip will do. I put this one in there, so maybe this, if it appeals to you, you could look down there. All of these links are down at the bottom. This is one of those accessory videos that I put out from once in a while. I like to do them around holiday time, so maybe it's a stocking stuffer for you or somebody you know, but there's got to be something down there that you like. So check out those links down below. Subscribe to the channel. I got accessory reviews and gear reviews. I do opinion pieces. I do some out in the field work and some educational things, whether it's photo basics or wildlife. You don't have to be a wildlife photographer to follow the channel. There's going to be something in one of those playlists that you'll find interesting. As always, thanks for your support on the channel, and I hope we can continue to find inspiration in wildlife together.